What if the British Empire had never ended? The British Empire was once the largest empire in history, covering 1/4 of the world's land and population. From India to Canada, Australia to Africa, millions of people lived under the rule of the British Crown. But what if that empire had never collapsed? What if the colonies never gained independence and the British flag still flew over those lands today? In this alternate timeline, the world would look very different. The first and most visible change would be the map. Countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, Australia, and Canada would not be independent nations. Instead, they would be called dominions of the empire and governed from London, either directly or through British-approved local rulers. The English language would dominate the entire world even more than it does today. Regional languages like Hindi, Urdu, Bengali, Zulu, and Swahili would be seen as secondary or even discouraged in official use. British education systems would be present everywhere, and people would be taught British history and culture in schools instead of their own. Technology and infrastructure in colonies might have advanced faster because of British investment and industrial planning, but the benefits would mostly go to the empire. Local people might still struggle with poverty, inequality, and lack of political power. There would be fewer chances for locals to rise to top positions in government, military, or business. Democracy would be limited. In many parts of the empire, the local population would not be allowed to vote freely or elect their own leaders. The British would control the decisions, often ignoring the wishes of the people. This could lead to unrest and resistance, just like what happened in real history, but in this timeline, those movements might have been crushed or delayed. Religious and cultural freedom would also be affected. The British might try to promote Christianity or suppress cultural traditions they didn't understand. Tensions between religious and ethnic groups could increase, as the empire often used a divide-and-rule strategy to maintain power. The global economy would be dominated by British companies and banks. Resources like cotton, tea, oil, and gold would flow to Britain from the colonies. The economic gap between the UK and its colonies would remain large. The Industrial Revolution would benefit Britain the most, while workers in colonies might continue to work in poor conditions for low pay. Wars could also look different. In World War II, millions of soldiers from colonies fought for Britain. If the empire still existed, future wars might be even bigger, involving people from every corner of the empire. The Cold War might have been a three-way conflict: the USA, USSR, and a still powerful British Empire. On the other hand, global peace might have been maintained through strict control. The British Empire might act like a world police, using its navy and military to stop conflicts before they spread. But peace under control is not the same as freedom. Culturally, the world might be more British. People in Africa might drink tea and follow British customs. Cities in India might look more like London, with British architecture and systems. Cricket would be even more popular across the world. But many native traditions, dresses, languages, and festivals could be lost or pushed aside. In this world, leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, or Jinnah might never have become national heroes. Instead, they might be remembered as rebels or even criminals. Independence movements would be erased from textbooks. People would grow up not even knowing that they once fought for freedom. Some people might support the empire for its order, stability, and global power. But many others would feel trapped, unable to shape their own futures. Over time, secret resistance movements would likely rise again, especially among the youth. History shows that no empire lasts forever, and people always long for freedom. So, what if the British Empire never ended? The world might have looked richer, more connected, and very British on the surface, but underneath, it would be a world with less freedom, fewer voices, and lost identities. And one day, even this version of the empire would eventually face the power of human will and the demand for independence.